Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, a citizen of the universe and a passage keeper and mentor for our new Earth children. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality, and it is meant to embody deeper trust and ways into solid self-love and fearless integrity. Our new world energy of spirit babies needs us to consciously create within conception, trust pregnancy, and have freedom to birth and parent from innate wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome to episode 212, April 2025, the new Earth children of today. Join us as we share real and personal spirit baby stories that carry messages of love, hope, connection, and truth. In this space, my plan is to blend the metaphysical, the spiritual, and the science of life to explore profound connections to our everyday existence. Today, I am honored to welcome our special guest, Colleen, an expert in motherhood.
Hello.
Welcome. And I love this. It's so hilarious. Like me and Colleen connected. She came for a session and I thought she was another woman. And then I was like, but there was some beautiful, which was perfect. So I was like, wow,
That
she looks
was
kind of different. And you were in your car and then I was like, and I felt like her story, her energy, her connection was really profound. And this will be a story of kind of, to me, is life, death, and rebirth, right? And she's going to share with us just, her connection. And when I said, hey, I think you may have been like the first person, by the way, that I was like, had this idea. Like, would you come and talk about this? And I was like, oh gosh, she's going to say no, right? And then you said yes. Because I don't
Yeah.
know. Because I'm like, everybody's going to hear you, everybody's going to see you. But maybe there's some healing in that for you. But
Oh
yeah,
yes,
so
definitely.
so tell
Definitely.
us about you.
So yeah, gosh, I'm like trying to think where to even start. So I think gosh. Well, I lost my baby, Noah, July 14th, 2023. It was a stillbirth. And I feel like I want to start though because before I lost Noah, I also felt before that I was going to lose a baby at some point in my life. Um, I,
Well, what is that feeling like? I want to cut you off there. You said you feel it, like you sensed it, or you had a knowing about it, or you dreamt about it. What does that mean?
yeah, so in 2020, I had my daughter, she was about 18 months old, and I was picking her up from her grandmom's one day, and her grandmom always had like the news on in the background, and I never watched the news at all. And so I'm just, picking her up, and I hear this story in the background on the news, and it was about this little girl who died on a cruise ship. She had fallen from the 13th floor window because the grandfather was holding her and didn't see that there was no window there. So I'm just like picking my daughter up and I hear this in the background and I immediately like just drop to my knees and start bawling.
Oh,
And there was just something about it that for months after, I was having panic attacks. I was having vivid dreams of like being in the mother's shoes at that time, of like just being on this beautiful vacation with my family and in the moment of just appreciating everything and having it just like blip where it's like, oh my gosh, that's
mm.
my little baby. It was a little, she was like 18, I think she was 18 months old too, like the same age as my daughter. And so and even at the time, like I was engaged to my daughter's dad, and like I was a mess. Like I couldn't like work really. Anytime I was in a conversation, it was like I would just break down and cry. I went to therapy, and she was like, "Oh, you have OCD or something." It was like something like I was like, "I don't think that that's it." And then one morning I went on to Quora. Did you know Quora? Like, it's where people post like just stories on there. And I started looking up death, like things about death.
Interesting.
And I was looking up near death experiences a lot, and I found that I was getting comfort from that. Just like
Hmm.
knowing, I was, I kept thinking, I remember being like, how do you speak to a baby, like a baby that has crossed over? How do you converse with them in the, like if you were to go for a reading with someone, like how are they going to connect with them? Like I didn't understand, like I was like, how? Like
Hmm.
it was just, I couldn't understand. And I also wanted, I just was like, oh, just the pain that probably the little baby felt and everything. I was like, I just couldn't, I was understand any of it and why it happened and just all like it was just I really thought a lot about it, like every single day. And
Hmm.
so when I started looking up near death experiences and reading into the experiences and actually seeing that like it was actually beautiful experiences I was reading about, and it gave me comfort. So my panic attacks were like eventually it was like slowing down where I was just like reading more and more. And even I went to my therapist like, I don't know, but I'm reading near death experiences and it's giving me some kind of comfort.
Wow. And what was their reaction?
She was like, because I think I was asking a lot of other questions, more like life and spiritual questions that she couldn't
Yeah.
answer. And she's like, I feel like this is something more for you that I can't help you with. I
Oh, that's
feel,
so honest. Wow.
yeah, she's like, I feel like this is a more spiritual thing that you're going through right now.
Yeah.
And so then, that's, when I stopped seeing the therapist. And, I started going to like little sessions of just like past life regression I went into. I was like, all right, reading more about things that like maybe I had a past, I lost a baby and I'm just
Mm.
connecting with being in this mother's shoes. Like I don't know why, because like I don't know them. They're in Indiana. Like I've never met them before or anything, but like I just felt this like deep connection of like I sent her jewelry at the time, letters. Um, and so yeah, I started, that's kind of, I was always like spiritual before, um, where I used to live in San Francisco, and I remember one day I found like a Sylvia Brown book on like the side of the street, and I like picked it up, and I like was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Don't
And
we
then
love Sylvia Brown back in the day? She was
yeah.
like, she was the one. Like, what was it on Montel Williams? And, coming from the
Hmm.
East Coast, especially, I know you're in the East Coast and I came from there. It was all about all those talk show people. And I love that you found that because I too, the same, by the way. I was like, ooh, who's this Sylvia Brown? This is really cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it like opened my mind to so much. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I think the next book that I found was uh Neil, gosh, my mind's going blank right
Is it the
now.
God book, Walsh or
Yes.
something? Yeah.
Yes,
I think I
yes.
was in that time with you too. We were looking at all the same things.
I got my whole family a copy of that book.
Wow.
I was like, everybody
Was
needs
it
to read this
Conversations
book.
with God or something?
Yes, Conversations with God.
Yeah,
Thank
I don't
you.
even know if I can't, that's so long ago. I don't even know if I remember it or like read it or not, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. And I read that. I was just like, oh my gosh. I felt like I understood the world. Like I was like,
Wow. Yeah.
wow. And I got my grandma a copy. It was like right for Christmas. I don't think anyone touched the book. Every time I would come back, I'd be like, did you guys read the book?
They're like, what?
And I was like, I don't know. I started reading it, but just ended up putting it down. I couldn't really understand. Like, I was
Oh,
just like,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, what? I felt like it like immediately clicked for me where I was just like, I completely resonate with everything he's saying.
You're in a different frequency. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, So back to Noah and just like knowing that I was going to lose a baby. Got into near death experiences and I started listening to podcasts of parents grieving after losing children. And I started listening to like grief and rebirth podcasts. I don't know if you've heard of that podcast, but it's really good for anyone that's grieving. So I was listening to that and that was giving me comfort. And I'm like, man, like why do I listen? Why is this giving me comfort? Like I never lost a child. I never like I don't understand, but like I would listen to it daily and it just comforted me. Like it just made me feel like, okay, I'm having a good day. This is I don't know, it just comforted me. And so I started listening to that and then when I had my son after my daughter, Ro, who is now 3. And then a year later, I got pregnant with Noah. And I remember going to my friend's house to tell her that I was pregnant. And I get to her house and she knows all about like everything. Like I went to the therapist and about this story. Like and I was talking to her and it just clicked. And I was like, it was like I felt this knowing of just like, holy shit. I've I've been getting prepared
Mm.
for losing like and it just I
Wow.
just knew and I don't know if I was supposed like it was literally I knew
Yeah.
and then I said it and I was crying and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been getting prepared." And I was like and then I had this energy which I believe was my guardian angel just like this calm energy come through my
Mm.
crown and just all over my body and it was just like but everything is going to be okay and you're going to love this every moment of this pregnancy and like that it was kind of like it just faded like I don't know how else to describe it but it was like I went through that pregnancy like kind of just not really just being okay and not thinking about like oh I've been getting prepared like freaking out it just was like this
Wow. No, I think you're
calmness.
painting a really gorgeous picture of the heartache and the obsession, right? It's like the obsession of thoughts was probably more obviously we're all kind of tuning in like obviously it's a big message, right? And I know
Mhm.
others may be like, "Wait, what's happening?" And I've heard of this happening before. There was another woman many years ago on my podcast, probably in the beginning of like over 200 episodes, and she was very psychic and intuitive and had premonitions and feelings, but what do we do with that? Because there is a difference for sure over fear, right? But we may not know, right? That's the thing. You're like, but the
Mhm.
near death thing, I'm really fascinated because then you're making me think, what if Noah actually had near death experiences inside you over and over? Like, you're curious.
Oh,
Yeah, because then you're picking up, like when you were saying that, I'm like, that's very curious. We don't think about that because it's not in the consciousness around us. It's not a thing. But you remember, it's like you're the internal book of you and that energy that's where I was going with it. But
mm.
and I understand you're getting this amazing lifting, this surrender, this light, and you're like,
That's
oh,
that's a great surrender. Yeah, it just felt like this surrendering feeling of just like I remember it was like raining and we were kind of standing outside and I was just like it was a knowing of what was going to happen,
yeah.
but it
How
was
many weeks were
also
you again?
I was only maybe 3 months pregnant.
Wow. I mean, that is a very that's so profound, all that depth and detail. And I know those that have had losses that are later like that. They're like they may say, Kelly, I don't feel anything. And I say that's okay because as you open your energy is in a stronger, different psychic space. Not to compare, but it's like that's where you are. And I do feel like we do get different messages on things. But again, remember, it's like, it's like how you're understanding that language of energy that moves through. And I know from my own experience, when I started to learn about near death stuff, specifically in 2019 through a documentary called Surviving Death. And
Oh,
it's
yes, great
yeah, it's
documentary.
amazing. I'm like, is it still
Mhm.
out there? I should rewatch this. It's great modules, really
Mhm.
incredible the way they set it up. And I'll never forget it because it really impacted me to see this woman who had like an adventure accident and died for hour, like not an hour, but
And
like
I think she was like a doctor before
yeah,
and
she was
like,
a doctor and then there
mhm,
was no, and then I saw there was like a group, like a support group for near-death people because when they come out of it, they don't know how to be in the world. And I was so
yeah,
fascinated by that. And
me
I was like,
too.
what is
Yeah.
that? I was like, and I was like, why am I so fascinated? Because I feel like we have death doorways in our life where we could have died. But I'm
Hmm.
like, but it's maybe not fully near death. I don't know? And so that's so like incredible. What a, and it wasn't good for you because you're feeling all this anxiety and confusion. But I think we have to applaud that you were like listening to it the whole time, right? I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
I even had a dream too before, but I lost a girl. And yeah, so like there was just little things that I think that I was feeling that I was like, oh, like but that day I just remember so vividly of just being like realizing it and then I believe it was taken away, like in a sense, like it was kind of like to give me peace too at the
Mm.
same, and to enjoy the pregnancy and not have that fear around me and that like thought of like I've been getting prepared, that stress
Oh
and that,
yeah. If some
you know.
if people were told, if we were told, like mothers were like, okay, you're pregnant, yay, celebrate. And baby's like, yeah, by the way, I'm not coming. It'd be like, like
Hmm.
I don't feel like we're meant to know the deep details of that until
Oh,
the moment, especially with like crossing through energies like that and death. It's like, so let's go move forward into, so now he's not here and you've
hmm.
experienced your loss and what happens after that for you?
So after I lost Noah, um, I went through, you know, it was probably like a week of just crying and just like not being able to get out of bed and just everything around me I looked at. I was just like, ugh, like I just I didn't want to be here in a sense. And then I felt this, I just was like, he wouldn't want me to be being, he wouldn't want me like this. This isn't, what he'd want for me. And I got up and I went outside. We have like a little like couch outside that I laid on for 3 months straight, just outside every day. And I do think that that was him being like, get outside. You need to be
Yeah.
outside. I had two mourning doves that came and visited me every single day. And it wasn't until after that I was like just scrolling through Instagram one day and it was like mourning doves have a healing frequency with their coos.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, that like they would literally visit me every day and just whoo, whoo.
I love
And
that.
I I felt uncomfortable being inside, to be honest. Like I remember like people like my family be like, "Are you coming in? Are you coming inside?" And I was like I had like a blanket out there. I was like out till like late at night, then
You're
coming
moving
in.
out. You're moving to the outside. You're like, put the table over here, put the little mini
I
fridge.
I really was like living outside. And but just being out in nature and hearing the birds and I think I needed that. It was like I just felt at home out there. Like I felt like I was with him in a sense out there. Um, and there was one one day that and I started writing too. That like I got the message. I was in the shower one morning and it was like you need to write. Just write. Keep writing. And so I started journaling. And I've been journaling since then. Um But one day I was sitting there and, just in my grief and crying and like just wishing he was here. And I got that calm energy come over me again. And it was, but I'm everywhere. It was like so just to feel like I had these like tears coming down. I was in this like, oh, and like just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this calm energy, and it was like, but I'm everywhere. And I was like looking at this, flower that was like kind of like almost like waving to me in the wind. And I was just like, yeah, okay. And then I was looking at the grass and like everything around me. I was like, I see you. I can feel you, like just even in the air. And I pulled out in of my journal something that I had written, if you don't mind me sharing.
No, please do.
Um, it was just a little poem, but I do think that Noah speaks to me through poems a lot of the
Mm,
time. Um,
spirit baby poetry.
I said, I see you in the blade of grass. I see you in the water that fills my glass. I see you in the flower that waves to me. I feel you in the air that goes in and out of me, and the love that grows within me. Are you the reason the birds sing to me? I know you are forever with me. But that was
Hmm.
it. But yeah, so since then, I feel like I'm connecting with Noah every day, and almost there's I did go to a few readings after I lost him. I had gone to like an Akashic Records reading. I went to see a shaman, a pastor that like I was in South Carolina and I just was looking up a church nearby, and it was this church that they like it's more spiritual than like an actual like I don't know what it was called. I forget what it was called, but basically they all said around like the same thing. They're like, I think because also I was searching because the hospital didn't like I didn't really get answers. Like it was kind of like you had a placenta rupture.
Mm.
But in my like literally it was like a few days before his due date. He was perfectly healthy baby. Like everyone's like, I don't know, you're a perfectly healthy woman. Like I don't know. There was like I don't know. It just kept getting like I don't know. And that's when I immediately went to like, oh no, there's something more to this, and I'm going to find out what's going on. And so I had gone to an Akashic Records reading, um, and basically she was like, there was something up with the body, and it didn't really get much for it was like, I don't know, like he was perfectly healthy baby, like I don't there's nothing wrong with his body. And but she did say she's like you're gonna have a different perspective on life, like everything's going to change, and basically Noah's like your spirit guide, and he's going to prepare you for when he comes back to you. And um, so when I heard that I was like, what, he's gonna come back to me, like, and I thought about it too a lot, where I was like, how beautiful that I can connect with him in this non-physical way, but then I also have the chance of having him physically again. And I don't know. I just thought that was just such a beautiful, I was like, wow, like that's a gift. That's a really like, it's a gift. And so yeah, I got that reading, and then I went to a shaman like a few months later, and uh, she was like, there's something up with the body. And she was like, that he he didn't want to be a boy. It's
Oh,
like, what?
interesting.
I was like, he didn't want to be a boy. And she was like, no, I, he he is has more feminine energy to him. And they say that before you're born, you get a glimpse of your life. And she was like, I think he was afraid. Like, I think that he resonated more with being a woman because he's been a woman more in past lives than a boy. And I was like, huh, well, that's so interesting. Because then I thought about that dream of losing a girl.
Mm.
And I was like, maybe I just connected with more of his feminine side. I don't, I don't know. And and she said the same thing about they want to come back. Like she was like, he wants to try again. He wants to come back. She was like, I think you're going to have a future pregnancy and they're coming back to you. And so I left that reading. And then, like, a few months later, I'm in South Carolina and I go to this church. And afterwards, I'm talking to the pastor and we start talking about Noah. And she was like, there's something up with the body.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah. And I
You're
was
like,
like,
yeah, you guys all keep telling me this, but tell me the details. Like
yeah.
you're like, what are the details?
I was like, yep, yep. Yeah, I think I know now. Um,
It can be
but
a riddle. It can be a riddle, but sometimes it's like right in our face, right?
yeah, I think by that third time, and I do think it all, me hearing it three times, I think maybe I needed to hear that three
Yeah.
times in order to finally feel like, okay. And she said the same thing, like coming back to you. I was like, okay.
You know what
I was
I
like,
just want to say, I want to interject what I would do, what I would say to the child, your child of light, your son, your daughter, right? It's like obviously your son or your son, daughter, is I would ask the child, what is wrong with your body? That's me though. I've done that. I've done like, you don't give me encryptic messages, babe. I'm like, what is happening? I've had babies
yeah,
give me details
it's
of the brain or the heart or the lung or whatever. But I don't know. Does that make it feel better to like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's different for everybody,
yeah,
like n knowing and just I don't know. Like I feel like even when it came to me asking myself, like asking Noah myself, like being like, what was up with the body?
yeah,
I think I would question what I got.
yeah, that's true
Like
too,
not
for
trusting my
sure.
intuition or thinking like I made it up because that's what I want to hear or that's,
Yes, yes, that's understandable. Absolutely.
um so I think because I was doing that, I definitely
I
was
think,
like
yeah, we all do
sitting
that,
there like
right? We do that. It's
yeah.
like, could I have prevented it? Did I
Yeah.
cause it? Could I have made it different? Like, I honestly feel like not just baby, a child loss, but that's, I don't know if you've experienced loss like from other people, but we do that. Like, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
whoa, it's really, and that to me is a space of grief. It's like, wow, we want,
If
because
I go
we,
back
yeah.
in my journal to like I so last night when I was trying to find what I wrote down and I was like going back to from the day I lost
Mm,
him and when I got the message like write and I started writing and I wrote a lot of letters to him and it was all like I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like what did I do? Like I had this blaming myself of like
of
if
course.
only I didn't stop to go
Yeah.
get a smoothie before I went to the hospital. If only that guy
Yes.
didn't take so long getting the wheelchair, or if only like there was just like so many like if my husband didn't forget the charger at the like all those things were going through my head when it was like I felt like what could I have done? Like I should have known, you know? And even in the car when I, you know, was in basically I was having contractions and I was picking up my daughter from camp and my son from grandmom's house and I was having these contractions and I got this glimpse of um it was like my feet but blood. Like it was basically the exact image I saw when I got to the hospital and they're like, lifting me
Yeah.
out of the wheelchair and um they go to like take off my pants and I just see a puddle of blood coming and I was
Wow.
like
Yeah.
that's not right. That this isn't right. This isn't, this is wrong. What is going on? Because I actually was getting wheeled in saying my water broke because I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
I didn't know. I just felt, liquid. And so I was like, oh, okay, my water broke. All right, I'm in this phase. Okay. And so when I saw that, I had that same image
Wow.
earlier that day in the car, but in the car I remember being like I'm like totally just freaking myself out. I'm having fear come up and I've been trying like in my previous births I had a lot of fear, and with Noah I, was taking little classes here and there of like how to like be empowered and birth and all that, and I was just like, oh, this is just the fear part,
Mm.
taking over my brain right now, and I need to just get rid of that right now. And so it it's hard. It's hard to know when it's like your ego or your fear gets in the way of your, like, or if it's your intuition at times. I feel
And I
like,
know yeah, I mean, that's huge, right? Because this is why I feel like we're always in practice with our intuition consciously and unconsciously, right? And
Mhm,
I always feel like I wrote this in Notes from a Spirit Baby Medium, is the intuition doesn't need to convince us of anything, right? It just
mhm,
is like a breeze, like just a moment, it just comes through us. But it's the obsessiveness or the overthinking is, yeah, becomes the fear. It's almost like you receive the imagery, you go, oh, and maybe the attachment to the feeling of the imagery was like fear, but underneath it, it was just premonition. And it's hard not to judge premonition. But when I feel like, I know for myself, I can only speak from is as a clairvoyant that I get imagery all the time, every day, no matter what. And so I've learned, what am I getting attached to? What is the feelings and energy? Or is it just fading thoughts moving through, right? But
mm,
it's a very tricky place because people do get prophetic imagery of things that are horrific and tragic. And there's no sense of control over that. So then it's like, oh gosh, is this real? Is this not real? And then that's where we're like going down into this other place with it, right?
mhm,
And I'm sure it's different for everybody. And so, but you're right. It's like fear and intuition. It is this world's battle somehow, right? It's like it's gonna like, okay, like that's what we have to do. But I know, in pregnancy, you're doing the best you can, right? You're
mhm.
connecting, you're listening, you're opening, and tell us where you're at now. I know there were some other stories we were sharing earlier, and I want to hear. I
Yeah.
want to.
Do you want me to go into the our session?
Well, even just
Uh,
so now you're kind of healing through Noah, and then you're getting ready to open to receive. Like, how was that? Were you like, oh my gosh, I want more children? But then I would love to hear that a little bit. I know my audience would too.
yeah. Um, so I am 25 weeks pregnant now. Um, and I we did have like kind of I guess a scare before I like really like this pregnancy I was ready. Like I probably like a week before I got pregnant, I actually said out loud, I want to have another baby. I'm ready for another baby.
Oh, yeah.
Um and uh before that though it was maybe like like 4 months before that, I just was still, I wasn't ready and I had a little scare of like, oh, maybe I'm pregnant. And um, it's actually, I feel like it was Noah kind of helping me switch or change my perspective on this pregnancy that I needed to hear before I was like, I'm going to have this baby. I'm ready. Um, it's So I was sitting there one day and I've been practicing, going to the Akashic records and stuff. And I remember I had gotten like uh, a Plan B pill. And I was like, okay, just in case. And so I'm sitting there And I go into my records and I just had so much fear and like I was ready for a baby. Like I'm not ready. I'm still grieving Noah. I'm still like I how am I gonna do this? And I got this message of just like in all my pregnancies, they were never planned. It was always a surprise baby. And so I had a lot of fear in the beginning of the pregnancies of like just like, oh my gosh, I'm not, how are we going to do this? How is this going to happen? Like, this can't be happening to me. Oh my gosh, like, I'm going to have to change this, do this, my scheduling, everything. And it's hard for, I feel like, for a lot of people to hear, like, oh, it's victim, like, kind of mentality. Like, I felt like it was like, you're not the victim. Like you've been like you've been kind of having this victim mentality in a way your whole life. And I just could see it really clearly. I'm trying to like put it into words, like what I felt, because it was just like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, and it just completely changed my perspective on this pregnancy where it was like, if you have a baby, like, why don't you do the things that you've always said you wanted to do if you had a baby? Instead of
Yeah.
doing everything opposite and listening to what society, like, you gotta, 3 months, that's it you have with your baby, and then you go back to work full time. And, um, in my last pregnancy with my son, Ro, I was breastfeeding and I wasn't producing enough milk because I was like running around with my own jewelry business and trying to find another job. Like it was just, I just wasn't fully there. I felt like I was just always like, well, I gotta maintain my career and like I can't let
Mhm.
this get in the way. Like, and it, it's not ever how I wanted to be. Like, I think that it was just, I was conditioned to think that I needed to be that way in order to be worthy and, um, and to be looked at like, oh, she's doing it all. She's got, she's got the kids, like she's maintaining everything. Like it, no, it doesn't need to be like that. Like, that's basically the message I got. It was like, you think that you needed to do all these things and you needed to make your life even harder, thinking like, oh, if I have this baby, my life's going to be so much harder. Like I have to do all these things and how am I going to maintain all that? And
It's the
that's not
greatest myth.
true.
It's the greatest myth of our reality, right? Because once
Yeah.
we become mothers, it's like the old part of us dies, whatever that part was that says all those things, right? And then we function. It's quite wild. We function as super multitaskers, child, work, whatever. Like it's just like, oh, now
Mhm.
there's space. It is definitely a mental projection of who we are, but our children change us. I feel like the old parts of us die, physically, metaphorically, emotionally, spiritually, and then we move into that new space. And what I hear from a lot of women, mothers that feel um, the fear is a real thing after loss. Like it's almost like you're between two worlds of energy all the time, but yet you show up for it, right? I mean, that's the powerful thing. You're like this baby being is like, "Hey, I'm gonna come, so let's do this." And so, now you're pregnant and now you're coming through. So what's this communication been like for you with baby being?
Uh, this communication, um, I feel like it's hard because I feel I want to talk about a little bit about our session because
No, no, go
of
ahead. Yeah.
having this like shared soul with Noah.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like when I mean before I was like it's definitely a girl. Like I knew a girl. I got that energy, like that feminine energy, like I felt. Um, but connecting with this baby, like I feel like I just knew like it was Noah time. Like it, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I don't know how to describe it. When you said shared soul, I was like, that makes complete sense.
And you'll see once baby's earth side, you're going to get more information and energy around, who they're becoming and what that shared connection is. It's like it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
figured out
Yeah.
until like things will just come through. And you're very clairvoyant, so you're like you get a lot of stuff, right? It's like,
For me, it was also, I mean, knowing what I knew too, like, oh, like your baby's coming back to you. And there's a part of me too that also felt this grief of losing the connection with Noah in a non-physical way. I do think that like even when you're pregnant and you have that like connection with your baby, like there's something about it where you're just like, oh, like I just love having this connection, like where it's not physical though too. Like, and it's like telepathic in a way. Like I feel like with this baby, like I've been getting just I think that this baby, the way they've been like communicating with me in a way is like when I feel nauseous, when people say certain things that I think are a lower frequency, that this baby's like,
mm,
like, kind of like,
I like
no,
that. Yeah.
and it's like almost sending me a signal. Like I feel like where I'm like, oh, oh, I see. Like this is a condition from like if like there's, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Where I'm just like, oh, I don't, that doesn't resonate with me at all. Where, um, like if someone's talking about time and money or something, or just like I'm like, oh, I don't like feel like nauseous, or I'm just like, I don't like that. Or, um, just little things if like you're like I work at a I'm a jeweler, and this guy was talking about this ring, and he was like, if I don't get the diamonds in there right, like it's failure. And I'm like, oh gosh. I was like I failed. And I'm like, well, what is your perspective on failure? What does like
Mm,
and I'm like, I think that that's the baby coming through me because I feel like I'm like there's just these moments where I started feeling nauseous when he was saying it, and I felt like, no, that's
wow.
look at your perspective on it's your perspective on failure. And I've been getting a lot of just like it's all about perspective. Just
Mm, hmm.
um when I hear things and it's like, ooh, I have a negative perspective on that, but I can change that perspective. Like our reality is our
Yeah.
perspective. Um, but
So baby's been knocking at you saying, okay, I don't want to do this energy, mom. You don't want to do it either. Let's,
yeah,
you're like,
I think
okay.
she's getting me prepared for her, like being like giving me little like hints of like ways to change my perspective in order to match
Yeah.
her
Yeah,
frequency.
there you go.
Um, and yeah, it's like this like I like even with Noah, a telepathic way of
Yes.
connecting. Um and so when, when thinking about this pregnancy and I had that connection with Noah, I thought, oh, if this is Noah, like will I lose that telepathic
Yeah.
connection when they're Earthside? And so it's almost like a grief in that too,
Yeah.
where it was like, will I lose this connection? Because I do feel like, and I heard this the other day, and I was like, I think that that's true too. Like when your connection with a lost loved one is so it's like it's telepathic in a way. Like they're coming into your energy, and you're
Yeah.
going like, and it's so deep like and it's hard to do that with a physical body there too, and all these other things around us, and
Mm,
just to connect in that same way, because when we do connect with our lost loved ones, it is sitting in silence, and it is sitting there and really feeling that energy around you and
mm.
what's going on, and it's I feel like it's harder to connect in that way with another person or side and all these other things going around you. Life is going and all this stuff, and you're trying to like connect in that deep way, but it's hard. It's
Mm.
not as easy. But yeah, so I think that I felt that, but then just knowing that it's like a shared soul, I was like, I'll still have Noah to connect with, and this baby, like it's shared. Like I don't know, there was just something so
And
beautiful about
there's
that.
that
But
sibling energy.
mm-hmm.
But it sounds like this experience is way different because you went through a rebirth, of course, from Noah to coming through into these other energies that are shared spaces, shared souls. And so tell us about some signs and symbols that have come up.
Oh yeah. Okay, so um yeah, in our session, so you asked to have them give you a spirit, like a spirit animal for them, and they gave you a rubber ducky. And I was like, a rubber ducky? Like, why would they give her a rubber ducky? What?
And I was like,
And
is this baby making fun of us? Is the baby joking? Like, that's not a real
yeah,
animal. Like,
we were
we're
both
we're
cracking up
looking for
like,
some like wild, like cool, not cool, but like like an animal from the woods coming out of the
yeah, a
trees.
lion or
Oh
something.
yeah, it's a rubber ducky.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, so just like I want to say, well, at first I posted on my Facebook the announcement, and this was after the session, and uh this random guy that I don't even know how he even saw the ultrasound picture. Like I don't know who he is. And he saw the picture and he wrote in the comments like my apologies, but I see the Jetsons dog and a rubber ducky. I was like, first off, who would say that?
You're like, okay,
And I was like, I think I even commented, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, you got quite the eye. And I was like, I love that you saw a rubber ducky. I was like, thank you so much for sharing this with me, sir. And so, and I immediately thought of our session. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you for sending this random guy to me to tell me this. And and then so my husband's mom, she comes over to watch the kids when we're at work a few days out of the week, and she bought these like little like rubber ducky looking little guys and hid them all over the house for them to find.
hmm.
So we'll find them in like random places, and I
You're
was like,
probably
oh,
still finding them.
yes, we are. We're still finding them, and I was like, oh my. They're literally like it was a bag of like 200 of these little rubber ducky, like mini little guys. And we're
And so
finding them.
the moral of the story is you get messages, they may show up later, like they may not be in that moment.
And then just 2 days ago, I was walking into this like spa. I was doing red light therapy, and I'm walking in and I like pass, I'm in the parking lot and I pass this Jeep and it has all rubber duckies.
Oh wow.
Along like the car, like near the steering wheel. I'm like, what an but yeah,
You're
like
like, now
that's
I see them everywhere. Like I never saw them
yes. But
before.
like, it was probably like a week after, like I was like, I don't have rubber ducky. Like, and then they just like started popping up left and right everywhere where I'm like,
Aw,
wow. I was like, that's beautiful.
I love that. So we're coming to the end here. Any final things that you want to share before you share your I know you're gonna share more about your offering, but any other things? Maybe even yeah, like where are you at now? We can even say you're feeling what?
I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling like even in our session with like that like new earth like frequency, I am totally feeling that with this baby. There's things that I've written down where I'm like, what? So I'm still communicating the same way with this baby with writing. I like basically automatic writing. And I do want to say, like, to I'm pregnant right now, like, take out a pen and a journal and just like ask them questions or just sit there and have that intention of connecting with them. And you would be surprised with like sometimes I'm like, what did I just write? And it's you know, we don't, it's not just connecting with them once they're earthside, it's having that connection when they're in the womb. And you can even, I feel like, connect with them before. I know there was a part in our session where you're like, do you hear like babies crying? And I thought about that and I wanted to mention it to you where
Oh, yeah, that's
I've been
right.
hearing babies cry before I even knew Noah existed. Like it was
Wow.
I, we were once living in this apartment hearing baby cries, and I would get up and my daughter was just, like 2 at the time. And I was like, it sounds like a baby though. I was getting up throughout the night, like every time checking
Wow.
on her because I was like, I hear a baby. And one day a friend was over and I was like, do you hear a baby crying? And she was like, no, but like, what? And this was when I was pregnant with my son, Ro. And um, maybe it's all my babies can they joke around with
I
me.
think remember the clairs, the meta senses, the clairvoyance, clairsentient, claircognizance, clairaudient. There's clairtasting, clairsmelling. So that's clairaudience. It's like there's psychic hearing, and it's really fascinating because it's something that happens to me as well. But I haven't fully mastered whatever that is in the in those other clairs. But I think I definitely did feel like you are receiving some energy or message in that. And you may have to continue to be open to see, it's like, is this your baby? Is it past life baby? Is it other people's babies? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
That
And you're like, let me
where it's
turn the
like,
dial
hmm.
down because
Yeah.
I don't want to mother the universe right now. But well, thank you.
The other
Yeah.
night I was this was just 2 nights ago and I woke up and like, when you're dreaming but you're in and out of it.
Yeah.
And so I was having that and I smelled a baby. Like,
Yeah,
that like
I love
fresh
that. So I'm telling you, your
babies.
clairs are so strong. Yes, I
I
do.
feel like even though like yeah, lately I feel like they're even stronger. I also feel like this baby, when they come in, it's like a whole new world is coming for like, it's almost
I
like
love it.
I'm now like, I sit there and I just get excited where I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Like, I know
Oh, I'm
that
so
they're bringing like
excited.
so much
Yes.
light into this world. And yeah, I'm just excited. And I recommend everybody that's even thinking about having a baby, just connect with that spirit baby. They're right there. And,
Well,
there's always a way
yeah.
to connect. It doesn't have to be just physical.
Mm.
There's still a connection there. Even in miscarriages. Like there's still a way to connect. And I felt that knowing that I can connect helped and is helping me grieve. It's definitely been one of those things where, if I am having a rough day, I sit there and I'm like, I want to connect. I want to
Mm.
connect right now. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much, Colleen, for being here and sharing your story. And one more piece here is share you do Akashic Records groups or
Yeah.
tell us how
Yeah.
yeah, give us a little what that is and ways that people can connect.
So yeah, on my journey, I had that Akashic Records reading and I was like, oh, everyone needs this. Like at least one session of Akashic Records reading. And so I signed up for it's like a 6-month class. And the Akashic Records are like the universal library of like everything in your lifetime, lifetimes. Basically, you can tap into that like highest your soul purpose. You can tap into why things happen in your life, or know certain things, why you have certain ways that you have, like of like tapping into, okay, like you have a past life of a fear of this, or because this happened to you in another life. And it's just even bringing that to your consciousness and awareness
Mm.
is healing that part of you. Um, and so yeah, so I've been taking that class, and me and a couple of the girls, it's four other girls, we started meeting on the weekends, offering readings to, to friends, family, and all of our weekends have been like booked with sessions. And so it's been really amazing. And what's so beautiful about it is that a lot of like, I haven't heard of anyone doing this, but like having four different, it's like mini readings. So you go in and you ask a question, and we all tap into your records, and we each get, sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes it just validates something if you're like, oh, okay. And, if like I've been there where, I go to a reading and I'm like, oh, but maybe if one other person tells me this, then it'll really click to me. That'll be validating that. And so it can be so beautiful because all get the same message, but maybe even just a little different perspective or something else added to it because someone else has more, awareness of a certain, just has more opening to getting that information to come to them. So we're all just, we get a lot of information, different perspectives, and to have that into one reading is amazing. So yeah, we offer that on the weekends, and we're the Akashic Sisters. You can find us on Instagram, and we have a link tree that you can click on that and just
So
schedule.
would it be at, say it again, it's at Akashic Sisters, no hyphens, no
Um,
spaces.
it's the Akashic Sisters.
Oh, there we go. Okay, at the Akashic Sisters. I want to make sure, and that'll be in the notes too, but I want if those
Yeah.
that are tuning in could hear it.
Yeah, and we just started it, so we haven't posted anything yet, but we're gonna get our bios up on them. And yeah, we all have a really great connection, and we're like, we don't want this to end. We're like, let's like make this a thing. Let's like do this. So yeah, if
Awesome.
anyone's interested in that, they can find me on there and book a session with us.
Well, thank you. Yes, thank you so much for being here. It's really wonderful to hear your story and that you know that you came and shared it with everybody. And of course, we're holding so much love in baby being coming to Earth very soon, not that long. And we,
Mhm.
again, loving to share the heartache, of course, and the love and the beauty of it in the spaces of Earth and spirituality.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly, for letting me share. It's always healing being able to share my story with
Yeah, and
everyone.
thank you all for joining episode 212, The New Earth Children of Today. Thank you for sharing in this personal story of love, hope, truth, and connection.
Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly Meehan. Please join my community and stay in touch with monthly energy rants, Spirit Baby poetry, and get access to Spirit Baby 101 with tips and practices at my newsletter at newearthchildren.com. And join me on Instagram with lives at Spirit Baby Medium, and join the Mighty Networks, the Spirit Baby Collective membership, and Motherhood to Mediumship. Remember, you are the heart that holds communication, and it is your time to connect. Come share in the great shift of your mind and the true spirit of your heart with Spirit Baby Communication.